everyone, it's Jessica at Simplified Homeschool, and today I want to talk to you about how I teach reading and what methods I use to teach my children to read. When I first began homeschooling, teaching reading was probably the most daunting task for me. I just worried about it and stressed about it, and how was I going to learn, or how was I going to teach my children to learn to read. And I think a lot of that comes from the feeling of when you're growing up, and if you were taught in public school like I was, it was that the English language is very complex and it doesn't make sense, and you just have to memorize all these different things that don't make sense. And I think that's what sort of contributed to my fear of teaching reading. And that brings me right into the first book that I do recommend to everyone that I talk to and everyone that I meet. And I recommend this book even if you're not homeschooling. If you're a parent or anyone who is teaching children in any aspect, I do recommend this book. And it is called Uncovering the Logic of English. It's a common sense approach to reading, spelling, and literacy. This book completely opened my eyes because, and I found myself saying so many times when I was reading through this book, why don't they teach this in school? Why didn't I learn this? Because it would just make things so much easier, and everything makes so much more sense to me now. English is not illogical. That's kind of the premise of this book. It is logical. There are rules, there are phonograms that we were never taught, and if you learn the 74 basic phonograms, and a phonogram is just a picture that has a sound meaning to it, so a letter or group of letters, and you learn the 31 spelling rules, then that does make up and account for 98% of the English words. So they do follow the rules, and it is still complex, but it makes sense once you learn it. So this book, I do highly recommend that you read this book first. I want to just show you a few things in here. The book is an easy read. You'll get through it quickly, and your mind will just be blown by some of the things that you wish you would have known, because it just makes it so much easier. So we have spelling rules. This is one of the appendix in here, and it has an appendix that goes over every spelling rule. Okay, and then we have a table for all the basic phonograms. And as you can see, it's a lot. It's 74 basic phonograms. And then they have a table for advanced phonograms. And then they'll give you examples of when those are used and how to add suffix to words. Let me just see what some of the topics are in here so I can tell you real quick. It's just really, really cool. It talks about the literacy crisis in our nation, what the problem with English is. Then, of course, the phonograms, and then you learn consonant rules, vowel rules, the mystery of the silent final E. And everything that is learned in this book will then continue on if you do the Logic of English programs, or if you do any program really that's phonics intensive. So I start by reading this book myself. This is not a curriculum or a book that you would read to your child, but this is a book you could read yourself, just so you have a really firm grip on how the English language is put together, why words are spelled the way they are, and everything before you even begin teaching. It's a great book to read. Okay, and I'll put a link to this for like Amazon in my description. All right, and then with my first child, I did this book first with her. So this was kind of like our reading curriculum when she was about 4. And this book is pretty popular. You can find it a lot of places. I actually got this one at the bookstore. You can get it online. You can get it probably used at used bookstores. You could probably get it off of eBay, Amazon, anywhere like that. I'll put an Amazon link to it just in case you want to go that route. But I did find mine at a bookstore. I think it was Barnes & Noble. I don't know. Anyways, this one's easy to find, and it's not expensive. I think it was around $20. I still have the tag on it. It was $20 at the bookstore. It may be a little cheaper online. I'm not sure. Okay, so this book is not a large investment. It's easy to get. It's quick, and this is a great solution if you don't have a lot of time, but you just kind of want to get your child started on the road to reading, and you want to start the correct way with a firm foundation in phonics. This uses intensive phonics. This is not made by the same people as Logic of English, but it uses the same sort of premise of teaching children the phonics and their spelling rules and all that. So this book will start out at the very beginning of just learning all the sounds. I put some tabs just so I could show you some sample lessons. There is, for example, in lesson 1, you begin learning the sound that N makes and the sound that S makes. This book is great also about teaching blending because of the way you move your finger across as you say the sounds, and then later on with words you'll do the same thing. It really helps the child learn to blend words together, and it has great little verbal games that you do to also segment the sounds of words. So the children really start to learn to blend sounds, and then they learn, once they've heard a word, to be able to segment the sounds to see how it's spelled. So it starts out very basic, and each lesson only takes 20 minutes for this, and you could do one a day and be done in 100 days, and your child would go from pretty much not knowing how to read anything to being able to read. It really will teach your child to read in 100 lessons. So by the end, your child will be reading. Okay, so it goes from the letter sounds to, like down here we have the words. So then it'll start blending out words, and then it goes from words to sentences. I have an example of some of the sentences too. Maybe that's not really one, but that's some separate words. Okay, there it is, like mad at me. And it has pictures, and once you start to read more complex stuff like the sentences, like this sentence says, that rat is sad, and you'll read it twice, and there's a lot of other activities as well. It's not just reading the sentence, but it'll have a picture to go with it, and it'll ask you to infer from, based on the picture and what you just read, why is the rat sad, and it will ask comprehension questions. So this book is great. It teaches not just the phonics, but it also teaches some reading comprehension and some critical thinking. And then basically, towards the end, you're going all the way to reading, excerpts of this length. Alright, so my daughter did this book. It is a fun book. It's exciting because your kid is learning to read, but for some children it can get repetitive. My daughter, about halfway through, I'd say around the lesson 50 to lesson 60, she started to lose some interest, so I had to get a little bit more creative with it. We would play a little bit more of the games that it had, and kind of skip through some of the reading. Instead of reading some things twice, we would only read it once, or just whatever we needed to do to make it fun. Sometimes we would wait a couple extra days before moving on to a lesson, but so it's not, there's not a lot to it. I don't want to say that it's boring, but it does get a little bit repetitive, I guess, towards the end. If you stick with it and you do the whole thing all the way up to 100 lessons, then great for you. I think we made it to like lesson 89, and then I was kind of like, you know what? I think she's gotten everything she needs out of this book. She can read, and this book did its job, so we're done. And then at that point, I moved on to a program that is by the makers of this book, Logic of English, and the program is called Logic of English Foundations. So in Foundations, they have A, B, C, and D, and if you want to see a full review on this curriculum, we are going to be on level D this year, so we've used all of them. If you want to see a full review on that, I do have a video that's just all about this curriculum, Logic of English Foundations, and I made a full video on it because I absolutely adore this program, and I do recommend it to anyone. So you can move on to this, or, well, actually, if you do teach your child to read in 100 easy lessons, you would be good to move on to level B of Logic of English. Or you could just start with A, and you could skip this book altogether. Now, it kind of depends what you're looking for, whether you go with 100 easy lessons, or you just start with A of Logic of English Foundations. Both ways are going to give your child a really solid foundation for reading. This one I think is great if you're starting out homeschooling, or even if your child is in public school but you just want give them a little extra time to learn about reading. This is great. This is quick, it's easy, it's open and go, and you don't have to spend a lot of time on it. You don't have to do any preparation for it. You don't need any other materials for it. You just need this book, and you just need 20 minutes uninterrupted with your child, okay? So this makes it really simple, and that's what I loved about this when I was starting out homeschooling. This book really helped me, and it gave me confidence as well to teach reading. So I would recommend that book if that's kind of what you're looking for. If you're looking more for a curriculum that is a little bit more all-inclusive, maybe a little more hands-on, has some games thrown in. You might want to look into this. This one is a little bit more fun. It does take more, it's a lot more parent intensive as far as you have to get things ready a little bit ahead of time. You need other materials. You can't just buy this book. It's more expensive. So you buy the teacher manual, then you buy the student workbook. And then for A, there's a book called Doodling Dragons that comes with it. And then there's a lot of other extras that you can buy to go with it, or you'll have to make them yourself. I made them myself, so if you want to see how I made those, that's in my review of this curriculum also. So it kind of depends on what you're looking for. But if you do 100 easy lessons, then you can move on to B of foundations, and then C, and then D. And if you get through 100 easy lessons and then all the way through foundations D, your child, not only will they be able to read, because I mean eventually most children will learn to read, but they will have a very strong foundation in reading, and they can read words at a very high level, because really it explains 98% of English words if you go through 100 easy lessons and logic of English. So your child can read pretty much any word. I mean, it might take them some time to sound out very complex words, but they can read it. And it's really simple, and it's kind of like, I just wish it's the way I had been taught. So I love all these programs, and teaching reading has been just a joy for me, and it has been so much easier than I thought it would be. And it is thanks to Logic of English, 100 Easy Lessons, and Foundations. So if you have any questions about any of these programs or books, please let me know. And you guys have a great day.